How does Amazon FBA work in Northern Ireland? This video is going to be about people from Northern Ireland and how you can set up an Amazon FBA business. Now, there is things that you'll need to know about, the pros and the cons. We're going to go through it all in today's video. Welcome back everyone to Deal Hunters. Now, before we get into the complex issue of selling in Northern Ireland, just like everything to do with Northern Ireland, there is complex issues. Let's just get into it. What is Amazon FBA? Well, Amazon FBA is selling goods on Amazon and they will fulfill it. Fulfillment by Amazon. That's what it stands for. What I do is I pack up boxes, I ship them to Amazon's warehouses. They take care of absolutely everything else and they charge you a handsome fee for that privilege. They take care of the storage, the packaging, shipping and the customer service, although the customer service really is just refund them and you get shafted every time. But it is a great way to leverage Amazon's logistics, their advertising power. The way I look at it is the reason you're paying for this fee is because Amazon's the biggest marketplace in the world. So what you're getting is you're getting in to all of those people constantly shopping and you can buy the biggest brands and resell them. So you're taking away all the hard work of setting up a brand, taking away all the hard work of trying to do your own advertising. It's all there and that is what you're paying for. Now, Northern Ireland, or Northern Ireland as we like to say here, it's more complicated. Firstly, how did I even go around this? There was a vote a long time ago now, and we're not going to get into what the promises were and what it meant and what the political parties said was the outcome. But I can tell you from an Amazon's perspective, don't shoot the messenger, but from an Amazon's perspective, Amazon don't see Northern Ireland as part of the UK. I know, send your hate mail to them. That's just the reality of it. So what does that mean? Well, they don't see it as part of the UK, which means you cannot do any removal orders. Now, what this means for people that have no clue is that when you sell a product on Amazon and a customer returns it, or the item is broken, or perhaps there's just some issue within the warehouses and you need to remove that item, normally what you do is you just put in a removal order and the item gets shipped anywhere in Scotland, Wales, England, you're good to go. Northern Ireland, it's an error. It comes up with an error, and I've done this video before. I'll share it here if you want to go into a bit more detail, but in short, you cannot do a removal order. It just won't come back to Northern Ireland. So what does that mean? Well, it's okay if there's maybe one or two items or it's low value, a few pounds. You just sort of go, write it off, whatever. I'll just dispose of the item. Or perhaps if you have friends or family, maybe you'll give them a little bonus. Or if it's like Deal Hunters, perhaps you'll do a giveaway of these removal orders. But the only real alternative you have as a Northern Ireland seller is to use a fulfillment center. Now, the fulfillment center will be based in England, and this is kind of what you're going to strive to. So it's not a massive issue as a seller from Northern Ireland, because what you'll find is you'll want to scale it up and you can't physically do it. That's why you're using Amazon, because they take off a lot of the workload for you. So that's one of the key things. Don't really panic too much. You do your removal order to their warehouses and then you can ship it back to yourself. But it is a bit of a pain in the ass because some items you'll just have to resell on eBay, and trying to get that item and paying double postage to the fulfillment center and back to you is something that you need to factor in. But really, and thank God, if you do your research right, you will have very little returns, very little removal orders to do. So it's not a huge issue and not really something that you should be worried about, but it is something that you should know about. The next con about living in Northern Ireland when doing Amazon FBA is you will pay more for postage. So whether it's a wholesale order, whether it's just even standard products, you will pay more times than not for postage, just because we live here. Again, the whole you're not part of the UK, the weight thing, the whole Brexit, shipping across the Irish Sea, the protocol. We're not getting into all that, guys. We're not getting into it, but it is a difficult situation and it doesn't look to be changing. If anything, it might get slightly worse as we're facing ourselves into the new era that is after Brexit. So it's something that you need to be wary of, and it's just really, there's nothing else you can do. And the biggest ones will be your wholesale orders, maybe where it's free shipping to the UK and you may have to pay £150 shipping. Now, on a scale, if you're buying 1,000 units, it breaks down to pennies. But those pennies could be the difference for you being on a buy box and somebody else having a competitive advantage to you. There is ways around it. We'll talk about it in our wholesale course. We've even covered it on the channel, so we'll not talk any more about it, but that's another con you need to know about. Another con, a bit like the shipping that we talked about, do factor in that shipping to Northern Ireland will take a bit longer. While they offer you next day delivery, it will not come usually next day delivery. It's usually an extra day, perhaps even more. So you have to factor in, if you need a deadline or whatever, you have to factor in that it might take a little bit longer to ship in those goods, which means, say you find a fantastic deal that you're buying for a deal sheet or whatever, you're buying that, you might have to wait an extra 2 days for that item to come. So again, you need to factor in, is this a great deal? Is it a deal that is worth buying, knowing that I could be maybe 2-3 days behind getting this item than the other people in England? So if a person lives beside, say, the fulfillment center and they're getting the goods that day, they could have it shipped in that day. You can nearly turn it around in 48 hours. Where in Ireland, you're going to have to get it shipped over, you're going to have to do whatever you're doing, and then you're shipping it back, and all that will add on a 2-3 extra days. Again, not a massive issue, but it is something you should be wary of. Another con is stores that are not in Northern Ireland. So the likes of Aldi, Morrison's, these are types of big, huge chains that offer some fantastic deals that you cannot get access to, and there's no way around it, or is there? There is one way around it, and the one way around it is, again, your fulfillment center. It's based in England. You can get them to ship it there and buy and sell there. So again, the fulfillment center, if you've done your return on investment, ROI, correctly, you can factor in the minor costs to actually get these items packed and shipped by them and sent into Amazon. That saves you so much time. So that's why I have a fulfillment center in England that deals with certain orders, and then I've got my own local ones. Now we're going to move on to the pros. The first pro is 2 markets, and what I mean by that is we have the access to the down south market. It's only a border, it's only a crossing the line. You can do this, and there is potential to bring in Irish suppliers that will ship only to Northern Ireland, where they'll not ship to England, or vice versa. Just what I was saying previously, they will charge more for English shipping, but if you're in Northern Ireland, they'll charge it free, just like the rest of Ireland. So there is opportunities there that England don't have. The next pro is actually fulfillment centers. Our packages will go to a certain fulfillment center for processing, and in my experience with the rest of the Deal Hunters team, what I talked about as a con, the shipping times, can actually be okay, because I've always found that if I ship a box on the same day as even people that are in Scotland or in England, which the rest of the team members are, sometimes my goods get shipped into the warehouses faster, and I think that's all down to what boxes go to where and where you're based. The next pro is untapped market. There's not a lot of Northern Irish FBA sellers, which allows us to have unique opportunities. Northern Ireland has some big, huge wholesalers that only deal in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and you can have access to them, and that will beat any other competition. So there is opportunities that you have over everyone else that you can use to your advantage. And finally, when your business is growing, there is a huge pro as well from Northern Ireland. It's called Invest in I. What that means is you can get actually huge grants and funding for your businesses. These are little grants and little extra overs that you will not have in England. So in conclusion, there is pros and there most certainly is cons to doing Amazon FBA in Northern Ireland. But if you plan it, you understand it, it really won't be an issue, and it's not something that you should procrastinate, and you certainly shouldn't be using it as an excuse to not do Amazon FBA. There is plenty of workarounds, and the fulfillment center really solves that problem. But if you don't want a fulfillment center, have you got a friend, a family member, somebody in England that can maybe help you out, that you can just ship these goods to? That is also an option for you, and that is really the biggest con with it. The shipping time, the extra bit of handling time. I think the pros and the cons from being in Northern Ireland and versus England, i.e. you have access here to certain things but you don't have access to that, it balances out. You will not be able to do your Amazon FBA business on your own. The idea is you scale it to a point where it's so big that you bring on the extra help, and that is where the fulfillment center comes in. Instead of hiring an employee, you use these guys, and that's the way your business will grow. So don't be weary, don't be worried, it is completely fine. And I hope this video has helped you understand a little bit more about how to sell on Amazon FBA within the great country that is Northern Ireland. I'll see you all in the next video. If you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Join our free Discord. Check out all our pricing and everything on Deal Hunter's website if you want any more information.